As for no spoilers, there is nothing to spoil. I think that is the big disappointment. Actually, I was not impressed with any of it. Um, okay, maybe how kind of digestible it was because it was relatively kind of exciting. It was a little bit over an hour. I can't say that I really felt the time passing. I think they did a really good job researching some parts of it. Because when you kind of follow the chess world for a while, um, you have this like weird library in your head of random clips pertaining to random games, to random moments pertaining to the chess world. One of the examples is they were mentioning how chess is so can be so heartbreaking and it really impacts your opponent when you win against them and that it has an effect on their mental health. And I'm like, oh, I'm wondering what clips are they going to use and whether they are going to use one specific clip when Ivanchuk and Dania played and he broke down in tears because that to me is one of the most kind of good representations of the concept of an opponent being so distraught after a loss. And they instantly showed it. And I'm like, okay, you clearly kind of have some idea of what are like important bits of lore in this community. So I was kind of grateful for that, that it felt like they took it seriously, like they took the research seriously. However, I'm still left with a little bit too many questions. First and foremost, I do not understand what is this documentary, who is this documentary for, and what was it trying to achieve. Um, to try to talk about the second question more, was it trying to achieve? I think they just maybe wanted to create a timeline of what happened and just tell the story that was it was just everywhere in the news. It was one of the few moments when the outside world got a glimpse into the chess world, and it was via the NLB situation with Hans. And I don't know, is this documentary for those people who don't know anything, who just follow this Untold series on Netflix, regardless who is it about? Because I don't know like who is going to watch it except still the people in the chess community, because the people in the chess community were gonna watch it regardless because it's about Magnus and it's about Hans, and they got a few other people to talk in it, mainly Hikaru. Who else was there? Obviously, Danny, and I think Eric is the other name of the chess.com guys. I don't remember. Um, it was them. They got Magnus's father. So I'm not really sure who was it for because whatever was said in the documentary has been said before a bajillion times. Now, not every documentary needs to have investigative elements to uncover something new. I enjoy and I appreciate documentaries that kind of delve into a topic, just talking about the topic, explaining kind of um what is the interesting part about it. However, I feel like I don't know, it felt like a really well made YouTube essay. Like I cannot stop thinking about it in these terms. I feel like I've seen Reddit threads, Twitter threads, YouTube videos, essays, commentary on this topic already so many times. Danny absolutely oversold this documentary when they were talking about it previously. Like, oh my god, wait until the documentary is out. You will hear so much more. No, dude, you won't. first and foremost. Second, whatever Danny Ranch said in the documentary about the situation, he already said it in his fucking book, which I also read. And I remember C Squared podcast on the topic with Danny Ranch, with Fabiano and Christian Kirilla, and they were talking with Danny about it, about the book itself, about the upcoming documentary. And Danny was mentioning that I think he was mentioning that he was kind of worried that in his book, he already uncovered a little bit too much, maybe, of all, because the book came out before the documentary, and he was kind of thinking about it at least. But I don't think, I mean, it's his story at the end of the day. I don't know. I don't know how the NDA works. I don't know what was happening. I saw on chess.com like a piece of news being published about the documentary and about Carlsen shares new insight as Niemann admits to more cheating in Netflix documentary. Did he? I feel like he admitted to the cheating that you already uncovered and talked about, but maybe I am mixing up things in my head. I don't know, but I did not get this impression at all. I would love for other people to that watched and are aware of what's happening to tell me more about it, because no, he didn't. I don't remember what the chess.com report said about what they uncovered. However, it was not my impression that Hans admitted to more cheating. I'm going to be honest. Another really important thing, Hans comes out of this documentary as much more approachable than Magnus. Magnus and Hans had very similarly positioned interviews. Magnus stays exactly in this position in another room, and the filming crew filmed Magnus exclusively within this interview setting. The rest of Magnus footage was archival footage. I do not remember a lot of Magnus's um, other appearances, which makes him seem incredibly cold and distant, especially compared to Hans, who agreed to have himself followed. They showed his room, which was an incredible mess, but this is a boy, so the cliches are clicheing. So that's prepare yourself for that. And the filming crew follows him in Paris, follows him, I think, in New York. And thanks to it, Hans seems a little bit more human. However, it clashes with the impression of Danny and the other chess.com guy who consistently talk about feeling unease around Hans, feeling like something is off. And I'm like, he is the only one that appears a little bit human like in this documentary simply because he allowed the filming crew to follow him everywhere. Okay, not everywhere, but in too many places. And he seemed kind of open. And even though whatever he said was kind of delusional, which he consistently expresses in literally all of the interviews, that I'm the best. You're gonna look at this footage 10 years from now and you're gonna know that I'm gonna be number one in the world. I'm gonna show everyone, because he allowed himself to be shown like more as a human. It just creates a lot of sympathy for Hans. And I think, frankly, he deserves a lot of sympathy because whatever happened, whether he cheated over the board or he did not, it's almost irrelevant because his life got destroyed regardless. Like, it doesn't matter at this stage what actually happened because the consequences are there. And to me, as a person that one is a documentary filmmaker and two loves chess and has followed chess for a few years now, this is what I wanted to know. Not necessarily a recollection of what happened, although it is important to establish what happened. I want to know what was the impact. I wanted to know, I wanted to see Magnus in a more humane position, in a more open position. I wanted to see, does he regret what he did to Hans? Because I understand that he did not mean to do what he did. I don't think anybody could have ever predicted that situation. But, like, what are the consequences? Like, what actually happened afterwards? I don't understand why nobody seems to be interested in exploring that side of things. Because the cheating, I know it sounds insane, but the cheating is irrelevant. I want to know how it changed, how that entire situation changed chess.com, how it changed Hans, how it changed Magnus, and how it changed the rest of the chess community who was split, who was split by that situation. And after the chess.com report, some of the people who contributed to the victimization of Hans have retracted their opinion or have insisted that it is right, whatever it was. I feel like the aftermath has not been explored at all. They just recounted what happened. The only thing I feel like I kind of learned is that Magnus did not want to settle the lawsuit. It was just because it was getting too expensive to have a lawsuit in the US, which is something that you kind of could deduce, but it's nice to like have a confirmation. I'm glad that documentaries about this topic exist, because I think what happened is important. However, I feel like it focused on the wrong things. I feel like it was trying a little bit too hard to explain what happened to people that have no idea about this world, which I absolutely understand why it had to happen this way. Like, I get it. I know how it goes. I've done it. I've done the same. However, in pursuit of trying to explain the chess world to people who have no knowledge about it, I feel like we're kind of losing the actual important storytelling that could have been done. This is a chess controversy on the surface, but it is a human tragedy at the core, and they failed to explore the human tragedy at the core, because that's actually what sports is. That's why we care about sports. That's why we care about people who are the best at stuff, people who are trying, who are underdogs, because it's all fucking storytelling. So I was kind of underwhelmed. I hate that I did not hear anything out of Magnus's mouth that shed a light on how he kind of really felt about it all. Because I really do believe that Magnus can be brought there by a good interviewer, because I've heard good interviews from Magnus, you know. I don't know. I wanted more. I wanted more.